700, 950, 1070, and News 92 FM. Today, he opens the news broadcasting every morning on RagingElePhantsRadio.com. Please help me give a warm welcome to Mr. Doc Greene.
Well, I love you guys. What we have out here today, these are the real people. You are the people that make a difference. Now, I got to give a shout out to the chat cats. I got Wilbur over there. Now, Wilbur was up here last time when Captain Lee Bullock brought us up here and we were all freezing to death. But Wilbur came. Thomas is here. The official chaplain of Raging Elephants Radio.
Over here.
Robert is here. Sam Firestarter drove all the way in from Fort Worth. He's here. And I've got to thank my good friend Lori McFarland. She's out there somewhere. And she is here too. And these people have driven for hundreds of miles to come here. We've got some good folks that are running for office. You heard Terry here a few minutes ago. My pilot, Johnny Johnson, running for Congress to replace the communist Doc Greene in South Houston. He's out there with his rifle because they wouldn't let him on the grounds. What in the world is going on here? I want to quote something for you. War is an ugly thing, but it's not the ugliest of things. The decayed and degraded moral state of patriotic feeling which thinks that nothing is worth war is much worse. The person who has nothing for which he is willing to fight, nothing which is more important than his own personal safety, is a miserable creature who has no chance of being free unless made and kept so by others better than himself. That's not you guys. You guys are willing to go to war, and we are in a war. Right now we're fighting that war with words. We're fighting that war with votes. And we're fighting that war with numbers. I love seeing all of you out here today. You guys have heard some of the best excuses in the world this week when you talked to your friends and asked them to come up here and be here this Saturday, didn't you? Yeah, they all had a good excuse, didn't they? They're going to have good excuses when they start knocking down their doors to take their guns and haul them off to jail. And these guys like District 7 DPS are the guys that will do that. Because you see, they don't care about you. They don't care about your rights. The only thing they care about is serving their tyrant master, and that will be Steve McCraw, who when he was told he was violating the law by David Dewhurst, he essentially told him to go pound sand in a rat hole. He was going to do what he's going to do. And that happens because we don't have 50,000 people here today. And there should be 50,000 people here today. The real patriots are the ones down there that are kept outside of the gates of the Capitol grounds by District 7 DPS because they don't like the fact that you have a Second Amendment right. It really bothers them. More to the point, that right doesn't come from the Second Amendment at all. That is a God-given right. You heard him mention it here this morning. Luke 22:36. Jesus said, if you don't have a gun, sell your coat and buy one. Because they didn't have guns back then. They had swords. But they would have had a gun if they'd have had it back then. So, let me say this. A nation can survive its fools and even the ambitious, but it cannot survive treason from within. An enemy at the gates is less formidable, for he is known, and he carries his banner openly. But the traitor moves amongst those within the gate, freely, slyly, his whispers rustling through the alleys, heard through the very halls of government itself. For the traitor appears not a traitor. He speaks in accents familiar to his victims. He wears their face. He wears their arguments. He wears the uniform of District 7 DPS. He appeals to the baseness that lies deep in the hearts of all men. He rots the soul of his nation, the great Republic of Texas, and he works secretly and unknown in the night to undermine the pillars of the city. He infects the body politic so it can no longer resist. A murderer is left to be feared than a traitor. But we have them. They're there right there. We have a plutocracy that is looting our government. They're looting our children. They're out there spending money that your grandchildren are going to have to attempt to pay back. They did this by passing things like Proposition 6. Proposition 6 is nothing more than setting up a private bank very similar to the Federal Reserve, which will be used to provide cash and incentives to the plutocratic cronies under the guise of providing water. But I'll bet a lot of you voted for Proposition 6. If you had been listening to RagingElePhantsRadio.com, you would have known better because we talked about it there. RagingElePhantsRadio.com is your source for Texas news and information. And I'm giving you that commercial here because I need everybody to be listening to that show so that we can dispense the information that you need to have. There's a lot of folks here today because they heard about it on Raging Elephants Radio. And I'm grateful to Doc Greene and gun rights across America for giving me the opportunity to come up here and talk to you. Judge Brandeis said, decency, security, and liberty demand that government officials shall be subjected to the same rules of conduct that are commanded to the citizens. In a government of laws, existence of the government will be imperiled if it fails to observe the law scrupulously. Our government is the potent and omnipresent teacher. For good or ill, it teaches the whole people by its example. Crime is contagious, and if the government becomes a lawbreaker, District 7 DPS becomes a lawbreaker, it breeds contempt for the law, and it invites every man to become a law unto himself. It invites anarchy. To declare that in the administration of the criminal law, the end justifies the means, to declare that the government may commit crimes in order to secure the conviction of a private criminal will bring charitable retribution. And against this pernicious doctrine, the Supreme Court should resolutely set its face. But that's what we have going on here today. We have District 7 DPS as a law unto themselves. They have no respect for the Constitution of the United States, they have no respect for the Constitution of Texas, and they certainly have no respect for you, the people that write their paycheck. Give you an example. We have something now called the Irmis Doctrine. Anybody here know who Lou Ann Anderson is with Watchdog Wire? She coined that phrase, the Irmis Doctrine. Let me tell you how the Irmis Doctrine works. And C.J. Grisham here could testify to that. The Irmis Doctrine works like this. If a police officer walks up to you, you have to immediately submit to his authority. You are not allowed to question why he is walking up to you. If he chooses to arrest you, you are to present your hands to be handcuffed. You may not ask him any questions. You must get in the squad car. You must go to jail. That is the Irmis Doctrine. Don't believe me? C.J. Grisham went to jail because of the Irmis Doctrine, and when they couldn't convict him in the first kangaroo court they set up another one. And they brought in a judge from out of town, and they convicted C.J. Grisham of interfering with an officer in the performance of his duty. Now, if you've seen the dash cam video on YouTube, you know that's an absolute lie. But it's absolute proof that we no longer are ruled by law. We now have a police and a judiciary whose entire intent is to subject you to their rule, to have you do exactly what they say. They don't care what the law is. You're not allowed to question it. It's part of a money-making enterprise. They used to call that organized crime. I think that's what I still call it. You know, Section 9 of the Texas State Constitution says the people shall be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and possessions from all unreasonable seizures or searches, and no warrant to search any place or to seize any person or anything shall issue without describing them as near as may be and without probable cause. We had a lady here the other day that was just going to get on a plane right here in Austin. She just happened to have forgotten that she had her handgun in her purse. She was a very intelligent lady. No lady should ever go anywhere in the state of Texas unarmed at any time for any reason. She was exercising her God-given right to protect herself. What happened? Well, they found her gun in her purse. Did they have a warrant to search her? No. Did they have a reason to suspect that she had committed a crime? No. They violated Texas state law, and they did it with our permission right here. It's happening all over the place. How long are we going to put up with that? How long are we going to accept that? What have we become? The patriots of the colonies went to war with the greatest military known on the face of the earth over 0.1% of what you and I put up with. We have got to turn this thing around. We have got to quit accepting this. I mean, it is ridiculous that those patriots down there who are law-abiding individuals are held outside of the Capitol gates because the real criminals, District 7 DPS, don't want any competition. That's exactly what it comes to, and that's why they're there. That's why I'm open carrying my banana today, because I really did want to give my speech, and I didn't want to go to jail for exercising my constitutional rights. But you know what? I can walk into that Capitol building with my 6-hour P225, and all I got to do is present my CHL. I walk right in with an honest-to-God deadly weapon. Now, on what planet does that make sense? On planet Bizarro, that's where it makes sense. But it makes no sense here. Yet, DPS District 7 doesn't use common sense. They don't understand the law. They don't enforce the law. They make up their own law. It's time for us to stand against tyranny. I love seeing how many of you there are here today. There's probably, I don't know, maybe 600, 700 people here today. There should be 50,000. It's time for us to invoke the Terry Holcomb doctrine. The Terry Holcomb doctrine is simply this. You get your little pinky finger and you stick it in your friend's buttonhole and you eye to eye and you say, we're going to vote when early voting starts on February 18th. You and me and 2 other of our friends. And you're each going to get 3 more people that you're going to stick your finger in their buttonhole and look at them eye to eye. You're going to get their email address. And you're going to make sure that they know who they are voting for. And you will tell them, if you dare to vote straight Republican, I will personally slap you. Don't ever, ever again vote straight party ticket. You've got to look at the candidates. And if you listen to my show, I'm going to interview almost everybody that is running for office between now and the election, the full election. This could very well be the year of the libertarian. There are a lot of great libertarian candidates, and they deserve to they deserve your vote, they deserve to at least be heard. I've never been a libertarian before. I was always a Republican, but I voted Republican for 45 years, and look what I got. So it's time to make a change. What used to work doesn't work anymore. We have to do something different. So I just want to thank you all for listening to my rant today. Let me close with this. God bless you. God bless Texas. And most of all, Texans bless God. Yeah.